Studying is like hunting. The problem is, most people walk in blind. They're hoping to just memorize everything without strategy. But that's not how the brain works, and that's not how you become an expert at anything. Today, I'm going to give you a step by step method that will take your encoding to the next level. A system built on how your brain actually works and backed by science. But first, what is encoding? Encoding is the first step of memorizing anything. It's how information gets into your brain. And in this video, I'm going to show you how to master it. First, prime your brain. 1. Skim through the content that you're about to read. Before diving into anything, whether it's a chapter, a book, or an article, skim through it. By doing so, you're looking for headings, bold terms, and questions. Some words or terms might appear more than once, and that's a clue. You know, even before diving into the content, that X, for instance, is key to understanding the content of the chapter or the book and to see the full picture eventually. 2. Activate your mental web. Trying to make connections between what you already know and what you're about to study or learn is necessary. Simply looking at words isn't going to do much. Thus, putting some cognitive load on your brain is advised to make the best of your time doing this. You want to try to organize the ideas in your brain and make logical connections between the different concepts that you are about to learn and what you already have in your arsenal. Why this works: your brain stores knowledge in networks. Later, when you study deeply, these pre-activated connections help you integrate new information faster. Think about this. You're like a hunter that's trying to take a look at the general area, scouting the terrain in order to create a camouflage or know what to do when you spot your target. You're not engaging in the hunt yet, but you're collecting necessary stuff that will increase your likelihood of success eventually. Now that your brain is primed, let's talk about how to lock information into memory. First, by using powerful processing tools. 2. Tools for the hunt. The theory of levels of processing suggests that a deeper level of processing will result in a better level of recall than shallow processing. In simple terms, deep processing leads to information sticking in your memory. How do we do that? 1. Categorization. Take a look at this set of words. If I ask you to remember these words, just reading them or looking at them isn't going to help you much. However, if I ask you to group them into groups or categories, for example, like this, you're going to be more likely to remember more words. Why this works: your brain doesn't just store information like a list, it stores knowledge in networks, like a web, where connected ideas trigger one another. This is called spreading activation. Remembering one thing triggers another connected idea. So when you categorize, you're not just memorizing words, you're creating a network. When you remember one item, it pulls the others with it. 2. Self-explanation. Self-explanation is about explaining things in your own words, which will lead to figuring the gaps in your learning. But what it does is that it also solidifies the information in your memory. In fact, when you try to answer questions like, "What did I just read?" and "What are the implications of this?" you'll be processing the information at a deeper level because you're understanding the meaning and making the connections to other concepts before elaborating in your own words. 3. Note taking. Note taking is hindering many people who are trying to study. Whilst it should be a tremendously useful tool that we use in order to reduce the cognitive load from our brains and put some weight onto the paper, try to take notes after some delay. Take brief notes and use your own words. Do not just copy the textbook. This will lead to you processing the information at a deeper level, just like self-explanation does. Do whatever type of note-taking you like. I personally recommend mind maps. In fact, One experiment that was done in 2002 suggests that mind mapping might lead to a 10 to 15% boost in recalling information over a week. 3. During the hunt. 1. State dependence. John Jones, the UFC fighter, usually spins with his arms stretched before a fight. Now, what this does is that it puts him into a state of focus, aka the zone or the flow state. More on that in future videos. When it comes to studying or learning, research shows that our memories are state dependent, meaning the more similar our mental and physical states between the encoding and the retrieval will lead to more successful remembering. What you could do in this case is that you leverage the conditions in which you're going to take the exam in. For instance, try taking practice tests under timed conditions. Drink the same amount of caffeine if you plan to use it in the test or in the exam. This will kind of simulate the feeling of focus/stress that you might have during an exam. 2. Context dependence. Our memories are heavily context dependent. Think about this everyday situation. You go to the store to buy groceries. Once you get back home, you suddenly remember that you forgot to buy X and Y. Remembering something depends to some extent on the context. Thus, it's a smart move to take advantage of this fact and try to simulate as much as possible the conditions in which you're going to retrieve the information in. For example, if your test is in a quiet room, try studying in a quiet space, or use a library for realistic distractions. That being said, you can overcome context dependence by studying in different rooms or using different questions to test yourself. What I would recommend is this: you can spend half of the time in a space that simulates the environmental conditions of your exam, and the other half studying in different environments using different types of questions. Studying is like hunting. If you walk in without a strategy, you're walking in blind. I hope you found this video helpful. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Share your thoughts on the comment section, and arrivederci.